It's so dirty. It's disgusting.
Ginger Runner.
What is up, everybody? Ethan Newberry, the Ginger Runner, here for another Ginger Runner review. Today, we're going to be talking about a shoe that I'm actually pretty excited about. It's been a long time since I reviewed a shoe from Topo. It is the Topo Mountain Racer. MTN Racer. So in this review, we'll talk specifically about the Mountain Racer, but it's not the only Topo we'll be talking about in this review. I was also simultaneously testing out the new Topo MT3 and Phantom shoes. I'll be talking about these two shoes later in this review. I have some thoughts, and there's a reason why I'm not doing reviews for them specifically, but I will talk about these later in this review. But for now, let's focus our attention on this. It has been 3 years since I reviewed a Topo shoe, quite a long time ago. Not for lack of Topo updating or releasing new shoes, but primarily because everything sort of felt the same. Topo's kind of known for their wider toe box, more minimal, reduced approach with a dense midsole, a really durable upper, low drop, and sometimes odd fit. There were things that I liked and disliked about those early versions of shoes. The Ultra Fly specifically was one of my favorite Topos at that point. All that being said, that is until today. The Mountain Racer, the new shoe from Topo, is my favorite Topo. It's like if an Ultra shoe and a Solomon shoe had a weird, odd-looking baby. Still got that wide toe box, 5mm drop. The Mountain Racer sports that typical, durable yet stiff upper, a dense, more reduced midsole material, plenty of grippy Vibram outsole, and some substantial lugs out there as well. I have really enjoyed my time in the Mountain Racer. That's not to say it's not without its flaws, but how is the Mountain Racer different than other Topos? Why is it my new favorite? And does it hold up against the competition? These are all questions that I hope to answer in today's review of the Topo Mountain Racer. Now, with all of my reviews, I like to talk about the things I like and dislike. I always like to start with things that I like. Today is no different. Here we go. Balance. So this is the first Topo in a very long time that I feel sort of balances that mix of a proper durable upper, the midsole thickness, flexibility, plenty of grip and outsole durability, weight, and overall fit. Topo's had all the ingredients in the past, but the recipe hasn't quite put together a proper shoe. This is the exception. This is by far my favorite Topo. A really good balance of everything that makes Topo great. And it works in a variety of scenarios, from training to racing to long adventures. Durability. So Topos have always been known for their really durable materials. The uppers are always really solidly built. The midsole holds up for long runs and plenty of miles. You get lots of life out of the shoe. And the outsoles, while designed interestingly, always seem to hold up really well. The Mountain Racer with its big lugs, they're holding up great. Very little wear on the Vibram outsole. While the shoe requires a bit of break-in, just warning you now, I have nearly 100 miles in this shoe and I feel like they're just now coming to life. Materials hold up well and the shoe is still clicking away. And finally, outsole. We've only seen a couple shoes from Topo actually utilize outsole lugs. They've been doing a lot of shoes that are sort of that hybrid between trail and road, and what ends up happening is the outsole just doesn't work for trails. It's great for road, but it's not grippy, not luggy, and things for inclement weather and various technical terrain, but the Mountain Racer makes up for it. The Terra Venture, Ultra Venture were other options that had outsole lugs, but again, I'm really liking what I'm seeing here in the Mountain Racer, and it makes for a really well-balanced shoe. Nice to see that outsole on the Mountain Racer. That being said, it's not all zoomies and puppy faces. There are a couple of things that I dislike about the Topo Mountain Racer. Starting with comfort. What I've come to realize is one of my biggest dislikes with Topo shoes is the midsole material that they're using. I don't think it's super comfortable. It doesn't matter the thickness of it or how much they're using of it. I just never put this shoe on and think, that's really soft, that's really cushioned, that's really comfortable. I remember early on that Topos were a new look at shoes that had wider toe boxes and a more reduced running style, keeping the running experience natural and efficient. I believe that the midsole they were using and still used to this day is denser, more responsive to sort of benefit that natural running gait without getting in the way or just providing too much cushion. What ends up happening is a shoe like this, which is primarily used for trail running, which is all I've been using it for, it just doesn't give you a lot of protection or a lot of comfort on longer runs. Longest run in the shoe was just over 20 miles, and literally by mile 13 or 14, my feet were just aching for a change, which continues to be the same thing I feel in a lot of Topo shoes. People who love them don't get them because they're soft and cushioned. They get them because that cushioning is a more responsive, far more dense, less plush ride. A byproduct of that midsole cushioning and comfort is my next dislike, which is protection. There isn't much. So the Mountain Racer has a bit of stack here with that midsole, but you still feel everything. You feel all the rocks, all the roots on technical terrain. The lugs and the outsole don't necessarily protect you from everything. They do a decent job, but again, you're gonna feel all those bumps. You're gonna feel the sharp edges coming through. Without that protection underfoot, foot fatigue elevates. Just giving you a heads up. And finally, fit. So Topo has this great forefoot. I talk about it a lot when I review their shoes. Really solidly fitting midfoot. The lacing system really wants to lock down on your foot. The problem is that I found myself constantly having to adjust that. There was no happy medium. My foot wants to go towards the toe box, but because of the length of the shoe, the toes want to catch some of the edges on the inside. Sizing up doesn't work because even in my size 11, the ankle doesn't really want to hold down tight. So if you size up, it just exacerbates the problem. Basically, everything is pretty touchy. When you get the shoe dialed in, it works for a while until you start breaking it open and it stretches, then becomes a problem again. If you're able to get a good lockdown fit in the shoe, that's great. I had a number of problems in the duration of my review period. So all that being said, my overall consensus is that this shoe is good. Those dislikes aren't terrible dislikes. They're not deal breakers, but there's something to be noted about. So in conclusion, the Topo Mountain Racer is my favorite Topo because I think it's a good balance of everything that Topo does well. While the fit can be a little bothersome, when it is right, it feels great. If you're looking for a more responsive and grippy ride, you're gonna get it with this shoe. And it doesn't try to do too much of one thing. It allows you to have a shoe that's great for training, great for racing, great for long adventures, and it holds up really, really well. So let's get more specific. Build quality, again, Topo just does a great job of building their shoes in high quality materials that do last a long time. Comfort, the midsole, as I mentioned, not the softest. If you're looking for a more responsive and reduced shoe, it'll be right up your alley. If you've already used a Topo shoe, I think you'll definitely like the Mountain Racer. Fit, Topos, it's always a bit finicky. This is no exception. While I did get it dialed and it felt great at times, I did have lots of problems getting that heel locked down. The heel canter sort of digs into the Achilles. Just be aware that fit can be an issue. The shoe does fit true to size. I'm a size 11. I'm using size 11. Price at $140 for a shoe that they're considering a race shoe. That's a high price point. I would consider it if it was maybe $20 cheaper. 140 bucks is a lot. And finally, looks. I also have to say that while this is my favorite Topo, this is also my favorite looking Topo. It's not saying a lot because a lot of Topos don't look great. This is probably the cleanest and most modern sort of aggressive design and look. I'm a fan of it. Which brings me to my final criteria. Is the Topo Mountain Racer a buy, try, or a why? I'm actually gonna lean towards buy on this one. I want you to look at it if you are not familiar with Topo, or maybe this would be your first Topo. If you're used to Ultra or Solomon shoes, it is a good combination of both of those, but only if you have the budget, because at 140 bucks, that is teetering towards the more expensive end of things. If you're into Topos, you'll love it. If you've never tried them before, try it on before you buy or make that decision. But yeah, overall, I've been really pleased with it, and it's cool to see them come out with a more aggressive, durable trail racer. It's a lot of fun. And as you can tell, I got it really dirty, and that's what it's meant for. Now I want to talk about the two other Topos. So we have the MT3 and the Phantom. Now, while these don't necessarily compare directly to the Mountain Racer, one is a road shoe and one is a more trail road hybrid, but all three shoes have something in common, and that's that they all share some of the same flaws, these two shoes, to a more dramatic degree. And that's why I want to talk about them in this review and why I'm not necessarily reviewing them individually. Let's start with the MT3. So while I think the MT3 has a great streamlined fit, it's a less comfortable, less grippy trail road hybrid, and never really gives you the best of either realm. When you run on the roads with it, the midsole sort of feels lifeless, and all of this rubber on the outsole just contributes to a more uncomfortable feel. And then running on trail just gives you a less than stellar trail experience. There's not a lot of outsole grip or lugs to be seen, and the fit and finish of that upper across your foot doesn't give you the best experience. So the MT3 to me sort of emphasizes the things that I disliked about the Mountain Racer and doesn't give you a lot of the benefits of a shoe like the Mountain Racer. Then with the Phantom, which I was really excited about because all I had heard is that it's going to be the max cushion Topo that you always wish you had, but unfortunately that midsole sort of falls flat. I sort of expected it to be the shoe that I could just go do long runs on the road in and be super comfortable throughout, but it just sort of left me wanting more. It wasn't as comfortable as I had hoped. Just adding a couple more millimeters to that midsole stack just didn't help. Sort of has this thick upper and clumsy fit, super hard plastic heel counter, and full honesty, this is not the best looking shoe. It's full on dad boy. From the massively thick tongue and ankle collar to the overall color scheme. Whew. I was just unfortunately really let down with the Phantom. I didn't think it gave me that plush, comfortable, long distance road dynamic. Another one of those shoes that sort of worked against me rather than working with me. So shoes like the Torin or the Hoka Rincon sort of fill the gap that this hopefully would have filled, but didn't. You get better results in those shoes at better price points, and I found that to be the case in pretty much both the MT3 and the Phantom. Fine shoes, durable shoes, just not the best of what you should expect. But reviewing these two shoes helped me realize just how good the Mountain Racer was for me, and that is why this has become my favorite Topo. It's the one that I would recommend, and so that is where I'm going to leave you with today's review. I am actually really curious, have you tried any of these three shoes, specifically the Mountain Racer? If you have, in the comments of this video, let me know. Let me know what you think of the Topo shoes, what your favorite ones are. If you would like to find out more information or get a pair of any of these three shoes for yourself, I have links in the description that take you over to Running Warehouse. It's an affiliate link. Cost you nothing, helps the channel out. And if you're a Patreon subscriber, there's coupon codes that you can use as well. So that, my friends, is it for the review. If you liked it, make sure you like, favorite, and subscribe to this channel, youtube.com/thegingerrunner. Here are additional social media links for if you want to follow and find out more information about upcoming films, reviews, shows, all that good stuff. And if you want to help keep the lights on, the mics hot, and maybe get some cool coupon codes, go to patreon.com/thegingerrunner. For as little as $1. You get some cool perks on the back end, and it helps everything that we do here. That, my friends, is it. I hope you enjoyed this review. Now, get out there, train hard, race harder, and party the hardest. I know I am. We'll see you guys next week for a bunch of new reviews. Bye-bye.